Sandman Season 2, Part 1. Man, it's so great to be back in this universe. Season 1 was fantastic. It's unfortunate that this is the final season, but it is what it is. And we're not going to have to wait too long for the second part, as that's coming out, I think in like the next 2 weeks. So they dropped 6 episodes with this part, and I like how we get right into business with this first part. And it's a very different, I will say, the tone just feels completely different compared to what we were introduced to with the first season. And maybe that's because they're wrapping everything up in this final season. I'm not too sure about how long the main story of Sandman is, but it is what it is. So let's talk about these episodes and just this first overall part, because it's really interesting how they focus on Dream's character and his character development and just a lot of his past. We see a lot more of the Endless. We see everybody compared to the first season where we only saw a handful of them. We see that Destruction is missing. That is the missing brother. He becomes a very key point in this first part. But like I said, you get to see the other Endless, like Destiny. He brings everybody together. All the different, we see Despair. We don't see a lot of Despair, but we just get to see a scene with her and just all the different Endless, the other siblings and whatnot. And Destiny kind of brings all of them together just to warn them of something really bad coming. You know what I'm saying? And this is where, we constantly see Dream and Desire kind of clashing. Some of the siblings don't get along, and, this causes them all to kind of argue with one another, obviously. And, this brings up this character that goes by the name of Nada. She is Nada, queen of the first people, which is really dope. And this is somebody that Dream really loves, but damned that person to hell, like about 10,000 something years ago and whatnot. And he regrets this, and this makes Dream pretty much want to go back to hell. And you're just thinking to yourself, like, why would he want to go through all of that? You finally get to a place where you're rebuilding your kingdom and you've went through all this stuff in the first season. Why would you regress back to going to hell to possibly set up a war between you and Lucifer? And this was really interesting how they set this up, because here Dream's thinking like he's going to go back to hell, possibly have to face off with Lucifer and Lucifer's army. Here, this was all kind of like a bait and kind of a trap by Lucifer, because Lucifer is pretty much done being the ruler of hell, gives Dream the key to hell and says, hey, this is up to you now, and you decide who could have this key, or you can just take over this realm yourself. And just that whole conversation was really interesting, and even having as going far as Dream cutting off Lucifer's wings was fascinating. But it's an interesting kind of like move by Lucifer, and even Dream acknowledged that it was actually a smart play, which leads into all these other different people trying to fight for the key. Not necessarily fight for the key, but they all go into Dream's realm and Dream tries to pick and choose between these different factions on who should be Hell's new ruler. Where you have Azazel, that's Lucifer's actual son, and he doesn't really trust him. Sasuna, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He seemed like he was a righteous guy, but deep down inside, you couldn't really trust him. These people that kind of look into this box, whatever the fuck. I think they have connections to like Dr. Fate. I forget exactly what their name was. And another chick was like, I guess her whole thing was like chaos, and they all kind of dressed up like clowns. Really cool. That's what I really like about the Sandman universe, is how it continuously is showing you something different and expanding the universe. You know what I'm saying? And that was pretty much like the first 3 episodes, like what they were focusing on and who's going to be the new rulers of hell. And what ends up happening is Dream gives the keys back to its creator. And even Lucifer was just like, that's an interesting thing. I've never would have thought of doing that myself. Just little things to just tells you, or to show you growth in characters. And that's kind of the theme with this first part, and what Dream needs to kind of realize, and him and Nada kind of clashing. Nada just trying to drill into Dream's head that, like, you know, it's not all about you. You can't really understand what humans go through. You don't understand love. That's another theme that he tries to kind of figure out as we kind of go through all these different memories and interactions he's had with people, whether it be family members or mortals, and just kind of him reflecting on all the bad things he has done, or just things that he just overlooked at the time and regrets now, and is trying to make amends with different people. The weakest episode by far is definitely episode 4 for me, even though this is where we get by the end of episode 3, we have this adventure between Delirium, that's another one of the Endless, the youngest sister, the youngest sibling, that wants to go find destruction, wants to go find their missing brother. And Dream kind of hijacks this idea to go look for Nada, but then, you know, it ends up kind of flipping by the time we get to episode 4 and whatnot. But that was pretty much, you know, Dream and Delirium going to the real world, looking for their brother, finding all these different kind of people that have been around for quite a long time and stuff like that. They're all really old human beings and stuff like that. Like I said, it's like little attention to details in this series and in this world that just keeps on expanding. Like, you still got like people out there that are immortal, and, you know, just different things, man. Really cool shit. But the last 2 episodes, episode 5 and 6, is really where they bring things home with this first part, and it has me really fascinated on how they're going to close out this entire series. So with these last 2 episodes, we really focus on Dream's son, Orpheus, and back in like the Greek times and whatnot. And it was interesting to see the parallels between like Orpheus, the Greek, like kind of how they mix the Greek mythology in here, and how they do the Greek stuff in Blood of Zeus. Really cool shit. And how Orpheus just becomes a talking head, was really fascinating. He definitely has a lot of characteristics of Dream, and similar kind of goals, as far as him wanting to get his wife back from the underworld, doing whatever it took, even going to death and making himself immortal, and that's why he's just like a talking head. And him just getting completely dismembered, that was fucking crazy. By the what was it, by the Furies? That shit, I would never want to come across those things, but that was really cool. And just, that was a huge moment, I think, really, for Dream's character. Him trying to make amends with his son that he didn't really get to at times, and he was kind of really cold to him, kind of left him when he was at his worst, and him being the one having to kill him at the end to finally like bring his life, his kind of sufferings and stuff like that to an end. It was really fucking sad, and you could definitely see that it changed him. And also Delirium and Dream finally finding destruction was dope as well too. And him kind of just being just okay with his decision of just walking away from his realm. And I even like him kind of saying that people have created their own kind of structure. They don't even need me. I'm not needed no more. And him just kind of still walking away, not wanting to come back to the family and whatnot. And you really see all this stuff building up with Dream and him finally just kind of letting it all out by the end of it, and him crying. But then the first part ends with, we see the Fates getting ready to cut, or they do cut, Dream's thread. So how that's gonna pretty much tie into the final episodes, like Dream is actually going to end up dying, or I don't know where this story is gonna go. But I really like the first part, minus episode 4. Like I said, it's like the weakest, I would say, not only of this part, but like this series, in my opinion. Still a good first part, good start. I want to see how they wrap up all this. Let me know how you guys feel about this first part. Do you feel like they're rushing the ending, or do you feel like everything is kind of flowing how it should flow? Let me know. Till next time, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.